Okay, so in the year 2022, I've decided that I am going to do a series of videos on things that my father taught me. A good friend of mine is part of a nonprofit organization that helps single mothers raise responsible children. And single mothers, they don't have access to some of the things that are kind of consequential. Having a father around, they teach you some just offhand things that you don't even think about. And so these young children growing up not learning that stuff from their fathers. And so I thought I would pitch in and do a series of videos about that. So this will be number one in the installment of things my father taught me. Kind of tying it into working with cars. The very first thing that you should know as a young adult when you start driving around is you need to be ready for the worst case scenario. So what you need to do is you need to go out and get yourself a bag, like a little tool bag. You can get them at Home Depot, and put yourself a pair of gloves in it, because you never know when you're working on something, if it's hot or sharp. You don't want to cut yourself and make problems worse. You want to be ready for the worst. Get a little duct tape. Duct tape is good for this emergency kit and for your murder kit if you have one of those. Get yourself a knife that and a flashlight. This little knife has a small little knife on the back side here. I don't know if you can see. Whoops. It's got a little knife right here, and it has a flashlight. And this was sponsored by Prime Lending, a good friend of mine who sells mortgages here in the Dallas area. So anyway, having a flashlight is kind of a cool thing. I mean, sure, everyone's cell phone has a flashlight in it, but you don't want to use up your battery, and you can't use a flashlight while you're talking on the phone or looking directions. There's all kinds of things that make that difficult. Separate that task by having your own flashlight. You don't need to have a whole toolkit. When I go on a long trip, I always take this big Cobalt toolkit. It's got a full set of metric sockets and standard sockets and everything that you would need if you have a breakdown. What you really need on a day-to-day basis is a Crescent Wrench, a standard, and a Phillips screwdriver. You should have a wrench or a pair of pliers, regular size pliers. These are really great because they have a little cutter, and you can grab a big nut, or you can grab onto something with the flat end. It's also good to have a pair of needle nose. You never know if you need to get into something that you can't get to with your fingers. Needle nose pliers are really helpful for that. Again, I got a little cutter in here so you can strip some wire. Hey, you know what? A hammer. Hammer's a great thing to have. You never know when you need to beat on something. Let's say you run into a deer and you need to bang something off the wheel so that you can get moving again. That's really helpful. This hammer has a dual advantage of that it can open up beer bottles. So, you'll always be prepared for when beer comes. Have some electrical tape. If you have an electrical problem, you can use your knife. You can cut and strip the wires. You can re-splice them and then tape them back up. Having just a roll of electrical tape is a great thing to have in your emergency toolkit. And never leave home without WD-40. How many times you've been driving down the road and you hear a little squeak and you think to yourself, when I get home, I'm going to give that a squirt. Well, you never do it. When you pull in the driveway, you go off and you leave it alone, and then it starts squeaking again. Well, squeaks usually are a sign of something going bad, and when you let metal rub on metal, it gets worse. So bring some WD-40 with you and have a little something that you can squirt on. So that's the idea. The first thing here is to make yourself an emergency toolkit so you can put it in the trunk of your car and forget about it. Oh, one last thing that you need. Let me show you what you need to get here. I had this out because I was welding. You need to get yourself a fire extinguisher. These are really great. A, B, and C. They handle all different types of fires, whether it be chemical or whatever. But you need to have one of these around. And you see, this one says it's empty. But anyway, have one of these available and ready for you when you need one. So those are what you should put in the back of your car to be ready if you're going to, just on a regular basis, so that you can run across any kind of problems. Duct tape's really great in case something starts flapping in the wind. You can really quick just tape it down, and when you get back you can fix it later. So that's my first installment of Things My Father Taught Me. Emergency bag for your car.